way here momentarily. Tom, here you go. Okay. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Okay, top of the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from July 9 and July 23rd? Okay. And waiving the reading.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have technical difficulties tonight, of course. Moving on to abstract number 8. Has everyone had a chance to review the bills for this evening? Are all the bills signed at this point, all the way around? And pass those over there. I have a motion to approve the bills. Chris seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I like that, Lisa. For getting the bills,
Tom, sliding over the town supervisor's reports. What do I do with it? There we go. Let's see.
Last page first.
I'm getting there.
Top, banner month for town clerk fees, over $8,000. Interest rate, our night class unfortunately continues to drop. We're now at 0.12%. Yeah, well, it's still better than MBT, which everything was with at 0.02. So 6 times better than we're doing here in town. So
Take it.
it's a challenge. A little bit of court fines came in, small refund from our insurance company. Our mortgage tax is unbelievable. Our first payment came in at 137% of the budget. So, a third ahead, and we expect the second payment at the end of the year, which will probably include a lot of refi that's going on right now. So we will end up in probably very good shape on that. Of course, I have no idea what to guess for next year's budget on that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the track record we've been going is probably fair. I wouldn't want to overshoot what we think it's going to be. I'd rather be
I don't
in
think I'm going to go with these numbers in next year's budget.
No.
I'm going to stay where we've been in the past. The penalties on the taxes from our tax collector came in. We budgeted $4,000, so we're $21 to the good there. That's great news. On the highway fund, we did get the second half of the snow and ice removal. It was about a month later than last year, but 2 years ago we didn't get it till October, so that was good, and it's right at budget, so that was good news for us. Rest of the way down through on the receipts, pretty quiet. On the expenditures, also very quiet all the way down through there, so nothing exciting to tell you about there. As far as the main report goes, on page 4, scan back up. Right down there at the bottom of page 4, I have an error that I've got to correct. The 31,925 did not get removed from cash, so there's an error in that, thus creating an error in the bank reconciliation. So I will get those corrected, reissue them to you through an email, get them corrected the next time. So we'll have to kind of hold off approval of that one for tonight.
Okay.
And then I also sent you a transfer sheet, which is probably at the very end of the report.
Is it part of this document?
Probably part of that scan. Yep, there it is. So we're gonna move some money from buildings contractual to buildings equipment, to cover some of the small equipment purchases we've been making and some of the big ones we've been making. And then under the capital fund, I'd like to appropriate some of the interest we've earned to cover the change order that was on the Moon Hill Bridge. The $8,800, and that will close that account out.
Culvert, not bridge.
All right. Box culvert. There we go. It's kind of like bids and quotes.
Right, exactly.
So that one, if we could probably go ahead and
Okay,
authorize that.
so I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve or make the motion for the transfer from the general fund, contractual to equipment, and the capital development fund from some of the interest down to contractual as well. Total of $8,800, and then a total of $1,000. Need a second?
Second.
Chris with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. On the supervisor report, we're gonna go ahead and approve that, or we're gonna, you
Why
want
don't
to,
we wait?
you reissue?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll reissue it.
All right, set that aside.
Now, as you all saw, the BAN voucher came around. It's not actually due to September 18th, but we're going to need to get a hold of our bond counsel. I'm not sure who does that normally.
Which part of that?
For reissuing the BAN, we do in September.
We have a bond counsel for this, and our, well, our,
Or are we using, just going through the fiscal, or the fiscal
so
advisory?
BPD is working with us, and then Mark Trapez and Mark are still our bond counsel for this piece, so they already are tied in with our Rochester folks, so we're squared away on that. We're good.
Who do I need to contact to tell the amount?
BPD.
BPD. Okay. I will contact BPD.
And then on that, did you take that back? Did I pass that around?
That came through.
Did it come through? All right.
I got it here in the file.
So we want to go ahead and make a motion for that. I don't have the numbers in front of me, right?
Definitely grab it out of the folder here.
So essentially what we have to do, because we're not going to go into long-term lending on the money we borrowed for our two big projects, and since interest rates are so low, we're going to then basically take a note for another year, and then at September of, I guess it'll be 2021, then we would enter into long-term borrowing. It doesn't really make sense to do it before then, because you could put a call in for 6 months, but based on where we are with the bidding process and just the construction duration, potentially hitting some winter construction issues, and the cost of it, they recommended that we just wait, take the whole year, and then go ahead and go into long-term borrowing in September. We still can go ahead and make our payment that we had allotted for this year. We had a certain dollar amount. Tom, what was the number off the top of your head? Do you know?
84,000, I believe.
So we still should go ahead and make that payment. We budgeted for it. It drops still the overall number that we're borrowing, and that's good for us. It's good for the budget. We do that, and then we move forward. So with that, all things taken into consideration, can you just recap the numbers for us?
Yep, so we borrowed $1.6 million. We have interest due of $23,071.11. So that brings a total due of $1,623,071.11. We are going to reduce that by the $84,000 that's in the highway budget to pay this off, meaning that we're going to reissue a new BAN for $1,516,000.
And then just to tag team on that, we also need the time, because once we complete the work, we want to get paid from the state, to then reduce that overall amount by the grant money that we receive, which is $680-ish, $87,000. So when we get to the point of going to long-term lending, it'll be less the 84, less the grant, that's the dollar amount, and then we go into long-term lending from there. Does that make sense?
We still have a balance of just under $878,000, so that should be enough to cover the next project, hopefully.
Well, it should definitely be enough, but, let's see what happens.
If we get reimbursed by the state before the next note becomes due, can we pay it early, or do we have to wait till September?
We wait till
We'd wait till
September.
September anyways. Yeah.
differential isn't gonna be huge. Normally a callable bond, which is one that you can pay anytime you want, is quite a bit more expensive than non-callable.
I want to say that number on the callable was, that the number for that option, let's call it, I want to say it was like $22,000. And then just rolling the dice that the state would pay us within, say, a couple month time frame, probably not going to happen.
Given the track record, I'm comfortable
Yeah.
with the expectation.
I would be surprised.
Great if
we actually
they
have it.
do, but
We may be surprised if we even have it by next September, unless, the way they're dragging their feet is letting us get going, so.
so. Anyways, any questions on that?
So it would be a motion approving a BAN renewal for $1,516,000.
I'll make that.
1 year.
I'll make that motion. For
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And the last item I have is budget workshops. So at the end of the month, I'm going to be sending out the budget requests. I'm going to ask for them back. Probably I'm going to set the date to be September 10th so that I can see you and bully you if you don't have them back. And then we normally have it, the first budget workshop later in the month is the 24th. A good day for everybody.
Of September?
Of September. We could go to 17th if that would be better. And I also have October 1st open as well. I have scheduled any Thursdays just in case you had some real challenges there.
I don't, either is,
Any are openly okay. My preference would be on the earlier side.
I would prefer that this year as well, if we can make that
So
happen,
we'd like to try to go for the 17th for the first one.
if that's possible.
It's okay with me.
Yeah, as long as I get everything back on the 10th, I should be able to get that stuff back out to you the following week.
At what time?
We can usually go a little earlier, right? We usually do a 6. We can go.
Good thought.
We can go earlier than that if it's more. It's actually up to you.
I could probably be here a little bit earlier than that. I don't have any kids in school anymore, so.
Do we want to go 5?
Don't care.
September 5th, you're saying?
No.
September
September
17th.
17th at 5
Yeah.
5
Oh,
p.m.
5 o'clock in the afternoon, yeah. That's perfect.
Is that okay? Let's go 5 then, if no one has any objections.
Yep.
And do we want to tentatively schedule one for October 1st, or do you want to just work on it on October 8th after the regular meeting?
We got enough time. I think October 8th would be okay.
Yeah, we'll have, we're not going to have the final numbers from the county for actual tax rates, but we'll know, hopefully by the 17th, we can at least make a decision whether we have to do a tax cap override. And then we got to get that public hearing in
Right.
probably on the 8th. So you need a motion so Lisa can put that ad in the paper, along with any other business that comes before the board.
So, second.
Lisa, did you get that?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think that's all I have right now.
All right. Try to multitask over here and not succeeding. So just to recap, bank reconciliation will keep next time. Town supervisor's report next time. Slide over to department report. The work to go ahead and go around on the reassessment is going well. Going out doing the property inventory at this time. I think we had was that invoice or voucher
Yes,
in there?
There was one in there.
So that represents not, they've done more, that represents what's been done and actually filed with the county, so that's like a complete chunk of that piece, so that's moving forward fine. Howard, want to give us a little update on where you are?
It's been busy. Yes. Information just went out this month, and we got 2 more of our tasks in there, so if we answer that with water. All in all, I think it's going to be one of the busiest years we've had in a long time. It's certainly going to be way past last year's numbers in terms of permits. I'm not sure why, but the High Hickory, I haven't heard anything since I sat down with Jim
sign has disappeared.
What's that?
The cease and desist sign is gone.
Yeah, it's, I believe the Haynes boys are done up there. After I give them the cease and desist, I actually stepped back a little bit and said, finish whatever is on the drawing that you have, because I didn't want the town to be responsible if there was a catastrophic event and, the lake is brown, because we didn't want to finish. So they have finished. I have not heard back from the director.
They've got, you know where the driveway went through the ditch? They've got two, like, 12-foot sections of squash culvert that looks like they're gonna,
Yeah, he called me earlier in the week, and one of the culverts that was on the engineer's drawing, I found that was out of stock, and they were waiting for it to come in, and that was all that left. But we really need to sit down with the site plan before he does anything else
Yeah.
and figure out where he's at and what is,
they look really too big for the job. And it was,
it's, we don't, nobody else gets away with it. I don't think the watershed, they definitely
yeah,
regulates land trust comes to us with everything.
yeah.
It's not new.
Wait.
I do have a survey map that says the driveway and the stone that they did in the parking area is less than an acre, but I don't have anything that says what the total is to get that done. It's kind of what Rich and I are looking for. There's been a few conversations with the Sunset Cove people down there. I don't know if you remember way back when that was approved. That has to go back to the planning board for a full SWIP on everything down there.
Mhm.
That's why we put a cease and desist on that earlier in the spring, because it was, he actually cleared one whole lot. And so DEC was involved in that one too, so that one is still on hold until we get all of the things. That one, I don't know what happened, because we were very clear that he doesn't have planning board approval until he finishes a final SWIP. So,
Right.
we got a couple of those little sticky wickets out there. I don't know if you remember the one down on Booth Road that was me, Dan Mead, the guy that built the camp without any. We did get through that whole process through the winter. I took a boat ride. We're done down there. There is no running water, so right now, Rich Abbott's happy with it. So we did get compliance along there on that whole project, which is good news. So
Okay.
we didn't even need Jim.
Do you have any updates on Fesco Farms PED while I got you here?
I haven't talked to Kim in a while. I'm assuming, she had a lot of engineering to do. I
Yep.
don't know where they got lost in the shuffle with the whole COVID thing.
Okay.
I'm assuming they'll come back. I haven't really had a conversation with her. So.
Okay. Any, zoning planning, starting to get back into some regular meetings?
Yeah, planning board has had regular meetings. There have been a few subdivisions. I do have an applicant that will be bringing this board plan development district. Similar, to the festival process, but I'm guessing that'll be October-ish maybe by the time they get their, tentative drawings to bring to the board planning. So.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think that's about it. Have the whole boat launch thing, we get a lot of emails on it. Is that later in the discussion? Or?
Yeah, I was gonna circle back around on that.
Okay.
Great. Jody.
Contractors are in.
Woohoo!
Functional. One big split in
Doors seem to be a little bit lower than the old ones too.
I said the same thing.
See that?
I think it is a little bit lower, a little bit easier access. We've been good to work with. Hopefully we can continue that way.
Good.
Paving, we're gonna start paving on Becker Road, Merle Road, approximately the 19th. So those road will be shut down over there. Who's our landline carrier for Iowa?
Yeah, Spectrum. Spectrum.
All Spectrum.
Yep.
I haven't had a ton over there.
Quick question for you. Any traction on the ad for the open position?
I've got two out of the three that are prospects.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Does health insurance start at the point, or is there a waiting period?
It's in the contract. I believe it's right on.
I didn't see nothing as far as a waiting period. I saw it as, the way I understood it is, employment.
I think it's usually, I think Teamsters, is their general policy, it's the first day of the month following hire. I don't think they do mid-month starts. Excellus and those kind of companies do, but I don't believe Teamsters does.
That's something you can ask. His name is escaping me right now. Bill, just to clarify. And I'm not sure if it is actually spelled out in the contract. Okay,
There's nothing, no mention whatsoever of it in
I would check.
My guess is it starts on the 20th.
this way.
I would call the union, call the union, right? Hold on.
I feel like we've done partial payments before on different things, so, but I'm not 100% sure. Like partial month, yeah.
Anybody come on?
Yeah,
One
cool.
other thing is, CIE's wondering about it, bid time check.
With that,
It is sitting in my desk, I can send it back to you.
yep, you can.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. On my desk,
Joe, I have one voucher that we didn't sign because I wanted a little more. This is the Ciotti July voucher for $20,617, and I haven't had a chance to go through it page by page yet. But we had agreed to a number for the month of July, and it was not $20,000. So my question to you, and you may know this, is all these other charges that represent the amount of pulls and tipping fees that were associated with the amount of debris that was up there for July?
Could be, I mean, he was in there.
'Cause-
He pulled everything,
I-
basically, pulled,
yeah.
was,
So I guess I just want to check his math on this to make sure we're good because that's substantial. I mean, it is what it is. It's not like,
there might be one for,
oh, you know what? There's one for August. I'm looking at it right here. All right. Well, that explains a lot of it because that's 4,400. So that's what it should be for the month. And since he got his compactors up there, was we up there beginning of the week?
yeah, they were there Monday.
Right. So we were gonna negotiate a different. My conversation to him after the last meeting was I expect the compactors up there as soon as possible, and if they're not up there, we'll discuss what we're gonna take off the contract. I think that's a pretty good turnaround, so I don't wanna.
Yeah.
I think there's no issue. If the board's fine, I'm fine paying him what we were supposed to for August because he got him up there. And
So that 4,000 is above and beyond what you already agreed on, so I don't know what the agreed on price was for it. If that 4,400 comes off, is that right?
I have to look at what the breakdown was, the per month breakdown. We could do a couple different things with this. I feel like we just need to go through this and need to go through go through the actual bid to make sure to see what we have going on here. I'm not saying that it's not legit, but let's make sure that all the pulls and everything adds up properly.
So far, you bill me every weekend, which is how I like to see it.
Yep.
And that's gonna continue that way, so when I turn in your bills for that, it would be for, you'll see on there.
Right, for each month. Yeah. So what we should see then is the month, so his contract was X amount of dollars, and then that was broken down into 12 payments, for the year. And then from there, you're gonna have the weekly pulls, whatever those are, and tipping fees, which will then constitute all 4 weeks total.
That means it's a monthly price.
Is that what it is? So that's not what I have here, but he also has a couple other items on here. Yeah, it's not.
Did he get rid of all those mattresses?
Yeah, those are all done.
What do they do with mattresses?
What's this?
Don't care.
No, I don't. What do they do with the mattresses?
Yeah.
He didn't get rid of mattresses.
No.
Casella did.
Okay, all right.
They take them to Oprah,
Burn 'em.
the mattress fee, disposal fee.
I think I think we need to just look at this really closely, just to make sure I completely understand it, and make sure
Well, that's what we'll do, we'll have them come and explain both of us.
that's fine. After the 20th of August, because I'm on vacation. Okay?
So why don't, you have a meeting later in the month that you can approve that? This is probably why we won't want to wait till September to be paid, right?
You get by email?
Well, we could make a motion to approve this and any changes after we meet. Pending that, is that okay?
And then Lisa can just forward it out.
So Chris made that motion, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
When are you leaving for vacation, Chris?
Tomorrow. I'm going to put this on my desk and leave it there if you want to come back over, or do you want to hold on to it? Okay, I'll put it on my desk. We'll go through that, and then we'll get that squared away, and we'll go from there. Anything else? That was the only thing I had.
I had one highway thing.
Okay.
Lisa and I are pretty sure we didn't declare the old loader surplus.
Last meeting? I don't think we did.
Well, it's gone now, right? The old
They
loader.
might as well declare when I'm bought.
No, it's, they authorized the purchase of the new loader and accept it as trade, but when it leaves the property, we're supposed to declare it surplus.
Is it down the road already?
It's gone.
Yep, so we should declare it surplus so we can remove it from
So
the.
I'm making a motion that we remove the loader from the surplus.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So,
And we should probably say the residual value was $155,000. That's what we got rid of it for.
okay. We make that an amendment, Lisa? Okay. Do we have a new value on our new loader? The value of the new loader? You have that? I just got to call the insurance if they haven't been notified.
170
Yep.
133.
All right, we got to notify them that that's there, and they'll make any adjustment for, will be a little bit or whatever on our coverage.
John Deere or Cat? What variety was this loader?
Here.
All set? Okay. Let's see.
That's why you're.
Lisa. I thought you didn't have clerks.
Yeah, we've been surprisingly busy still. Marriage license and minor sales we're free on. The data search is again when a agency calls wanting information, typically on building department files, on any violations or gas permits, et cetera. We charge them on. And transfer station permit, the amount there really floored me. $8,320.47 brought in during July. And when you do the math on that transfer station, it's because sometimes it went in multiple years as a single sale, so that's why 159, 30 does not equal $6,000.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the town clerk's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Get everything on the top. Bordano Cemetery damaged stones. Can someone fill me in on this?
I have a gentleman come into the office, he's seated over there,
Oh,
commented that some of the stones have been damaged, and wanted to bring that to the attention of the board.
sure. Why don't you just let us know who you are and just fill us in?
Is there any money for the cemeteries to fix stone?
Can I get who you are real quick?
Lee Springsteen.
Okay.
And I was up there recently, and one of the very large stones, the white stone at the northwest corner of the upper part of the cemetery has been tipped over. It's a four-piece stone, I think. It's been, the base is still there, but the main part is still there, but they tipped three pieces out of it. And it's a very heavy stone, so it didn't fall, the wind didn't get it or nothing, so.
You think someone's actually gone in to vandalize this specific stone?
That specific stone, I'm not sure about the other stone, there's other stones in there that are falling over,
Yeah.
but I think the
So, do we budget money for that? The answer is no. Is there,
Cemetery, is it?
Port Island, right here,
Okay. We have some extra funds in the Colebrook fund.
right. There is, I believe, and I'll have to go look, but I believe there's some grants that you can apply for specifically for stone maintenance and repair from damage. I don't know if it's vandalism, so like for damage like down trees and things like that. I could certainly go back and try and pull that information up and see what there is out there for us. But the quick answer is no, we don't budget money for that because it's hard to even try and like, what do you put your finger on to, what would you budget? How would you do that? However, going forward, it may be something we want to consider creating possibly a fund or a line item that we can, budget a little bit amount each year to see how that, that would go if we're seeing that just from age of some of these stones that we're seeing damage. Jim, how does Marcellus handle it?
They have a budget
Yeah.
for maintenance of the cemetery. It's not a lot of budget. And then they have recently hired a man to come in and fix some of the stones.
I believe in the past too, I think we've had some residents that have gone in there and maybe done some minor repair on their own, but
So my recollection of the statute is that statute only requires the town, I think, cut twice a year, something like that, just to cut the grass twice a year, something like that. But,
like the state statute.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the state statute that certain cemeteries, if they were incorporated or something like that, they divert to the town responsibility. And I think the statute says something about the town has to minimum cut it, I don't know, a couple of times or something like that. But I don't think that there's a statutory requirement that you repair stones. So this would be just something that the town decided to do.
Well, with
Marcellus has only got the one
right
cemetery. You had three, right?
four.
Four.
Well, with budget time coming up, this is a good time for us to consider that and talk about it amongst ourselves and decide what we want to do, look at our overall budget, and see if that's something we want to try and create a little fund for these types of things, or if we want to try and handle it through various grants. So between now and when we have our first budget meeting, I'll track down some of the grant avenues to see what's available and what can be done, whether it's a county or more of a state situation. What I'm thinking of is a county, some county dollars, but obviously in the current climate that we're in terms of budgets, both from a county and a state standpoint, I'm not sure what that's going to look like. But we'll check it, we'll track it down, and then we can report back to you if you want to hop in, in September's meeting, and we'll go from there.
Sure.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Great.
One thing I wanted to say about that is, I'm guessing you have some veterans in your cemetery.
Yes, of course.
And Marcellus pays particular attention to the veterans'
Yep.
stones.
No, good point, Jim. Anything else on that? Okay. Sliding over, Colebrook Valley Cemetery plot map. I'm still falling down on the job. Just need to send it to you guys. Fesco Farms PDD, we talked about that. No update as of yet. Bordano Cemetery, I'm just looking to get the plans from our surveyor. I guess the work has been done, so we'll be able to put that to good use and move forward.
Yes, because once we have that, I'll order the little corner hoppers that
Yep.
we budgeted for
Yep,
beginning of the year.
perfect.
There's corner markers over there.
Yes, and I'll talk to you about what ones are there, but I need the maps.
We need to add the next ones. Lisa, did I miss anything on the first two sections? I don't think so.
We don't have any updates on the DAS news Bridge North?
Well, other than they haven't allowed us to go to bid yet, so that is constant phone calls. I'm just going to have to stay on them until they pick the phone up. I'll see if I can get them tomorrow. If I don't get anything tomorrow, I guess we'll have to go up the ladder to the people at Albany and see if they can call us back.
It'd be pretty tight timing to get that project done.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's, I think there's some motivated contractors. I know there are because I get called about when is it going to be out to bid. So that's good. But yes, timing is going to be critical to try and squeeze it in and beat the weather. Jim, I know you put in front of us a transfer station contract.
Yes.
Can you just take the board through that real quick?
Sure. So, what I did was, I just kind of merged, the contents of the RFP and the bid, and merged those two together into a contract, proposed contract. Actually, it took me longer than I thought. But John has reviewed it with his eagle eye and had suggested some changes, one of which was the termination clause. He was a little bit concerned because I was calling for any party to terminate for any reason upon 60 days written notice, and he rightfully felt that that might not be a good idea because we want to hold our bidder to the 3-year commitment. So I think we're just going to eliminate that termination clause entirely. And if we feel that there's been a breach of contract, we can always assert that. And John, you had another change, and I missed.
Yeah, I actually had two other minor ones.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let me just make sure I'm not missing any third one. So in the section about recyclable materials, we talked about the compactor will be serviced weekly. I changed that to say that the recyclable compactor will be serviced on the same schedule as the trash compactor. Up above where you talk about the trash compactor, you talk about when that needs to be serviced. And I assume in the wintertime, for example, it doesn't have to necessarily be serviced weekly. Bottom line is, I think that the trash and the recycling compactors ought to have the same service schedule.
Okay, well, that would deviate then from the RFP.
No, we had quarterly service in there for the compactors.
Okay, so show me what you're talking about, Jeff. If you don't mind, I'll.
Yeah. So let me find it.
Right here, in the case of an equipment breakdown? Yeah. What do you want to say?
Hang on a second. I got to find out where you were talking about when it needs
So
to be.
while they're looking at Jody, we'll also go over this with Ciati. And we could do that the same day. He knows that we're going to take his bid and just formalize it into a contract. So he's expecting it. We'll get a copy of him to him ahead of time. If he has any questions, we can deal with it. And then if you have to make any adjustments, fine. If not, we'll sign that day.
It's being serviced weekly.
So
Twice a week in the summertime and weekly. Didn't know those things needed that much service.
Probably not. Misinterpreting the service. I think
Oh.
it's tolls.
Okay.
Twice a week.
Tolls,
Tolls.
right?
I took service to be
Once a week.
doing maintenance on it. Okay, gotcha.
Maintenance would be, I think that's where you might have gotten.
Maintenance is the
I didn't
quarterly.
understand what you meant by service then.
Is that jive with
So
you?
we're
You can
okay?
ignore that comment then.
Okay, good.
And then.
Should we call it polls instead of service? I think we should be consistent.
Be cut and dry for everybody.
Okay, well, this is the language you used in the RFP. So if we deviate from that, I don't see it as a problem because
Yeah.
I think he understands that it's polls. But what do you want to, where is that? Okay, so the compactor shall be leak-proof. This compactor will be pulled?
Pulled twice each week. This is the trash compactor gets pulled twice each week in the summer,
Correct.
and then weekly the rest of the time.
Each pull to follow a collection day.
I mean, it gets pulled when it's full. It gets pulled. So if it gets
Okay,
Bill.
so we'll just change those
Right.
words
Yeah.
from service,
Tolls twice a week.
okay.
service to
And then
pull.
you have the same issue. Number we
Pulled.
And then I had a change in the
The metal.
section of metal days, right? You had price per pull to the end of the bid sheet
Yes. Enter per,
for contract.
right, price per pull to be pursuant to this contract.
And that was all I had for that termination clause.
While you're right on that page, go up to where the bullets are,
Yep.
read the second and the third bullet. There's
I read it again, and I think it is correct, but let's do it. The first Saturday of January, this is for cleanup days. Each Saturday from the last Saturday in May through the first Saturday in September. Okay, and then
first
your-
Saturday in October.
Right.
Follow that now.
So
So there's that break.
so in September, you're going to do the first week in September, and then you're not going to do it again until the first Saturday of October.
Cleanup day.
Cleanup days.
So in the summer, it's every Saturday, and then after the first Saturday in September, then we've got one.
There'll be one more in October.
and the next one's in January.
This is right out of the RFP. Well, well, if you want to change those days or whatever, you can work it out with Ciati, I'm sure, and then come back to the board with a new schedule. All right, so this is the
I think
change.
that's what we had been doing. I don't think there's any, that's not different from what we had with Casella.
Yeah.
This is the change to document. Do you have it in Word? Can you make the changes and give it to?
I just emailed it, or
Supervisor?
Yes.
I can do it too.
I know, but I know I'll get it done.
Oh, oh,
There's no difference.
that was streamed too.
That's like Mark's not gonna show up when you take that mask off.
No, I know she'll get it done before me. She's awesome.
Okay, so with that contract review, I think we're all set.
Oh, make a
it on here?
resolution authorizing him to sign the contract as modified.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ty, did you want to discuss O'Donnell Landing?
I was just thinking in case you had any questions.
Yeah, it's enforcement is always difficult, right? A picture of a barge on the water. The people that use it regularly understand that you're supposed to get permitted per project. But maybe there's a different way to do it. Maybe it's a seasonal permit. I don't know how we quantify that number for the contractor. I don't know how, if it's a guy that does one project or a guy that does 10, do you assume that it's going to be 10 and charge him 10 grand or 5 grand? How does that work, and how does that cost get passed on to the residents? One vein is we don't care. The other one is I think we should. It's residents, of Spafford. They're going to be paying that cost. How do we make it both usable and enforceable? I'm open to suggestions.
In terms of enforceable, it would be helpful if the photographs had license plate numbers that we could read, or boat registration numbers. And then a question on the permit: do we ask for the barge registration number so that we have a way of hooking up this permit with this barge that's in this photograph? I tried to blow up the pictures that you sent around, and I couldn't get them to be clear enough.
Everything's unmarked for the most part. At least,
The barges don't have any.
and the trucks are all unmarked. They have license plates, yes.
So,
I'm not necessarily wanting to get into a police department, a police force here in the town of Spafford. I mean, that's not our job.
What happened with that now is the police won't give us, we used to be able to call road patrol and get the owner of the vehicle under all of this new police rep.
Oh, they can't give it to you.
Last year, they won't even give it to us now.
I mean, it's pretty simple to know who it is if the owner of the barge is there. I mean, it's facial recognition, you can look at the picture.
Well, maybe for you, but not for me or anyone else at this table. That's just a fact.
Every day.
I don't.
So I'm just saying that there are people that can say who they are. I can tell you that just from the various times that they come, which barge it is. That's usually done.
Well, if you want to provide that in your weekly emails that you send through to me and Howard, that would certainly take some of the mystery out of it, because I don't know who it is. Howard, I don't know if you know who they are.
The only ones I recognize are Rick Rick, whose truck you can't miss because it says Rick Rick all over it.
And he's
That's
pretty good about.
Yeah, I actually, we emailed them all on the 20th. I think I actually copied both of you.
You did.
The ones that had registered this year and said, hey, here's the hours of operation. I haven't heard a whole lot more since then, so I guess they got the message. I did hear
access.
It's access, so.
If you want to have a thrill, just take a ride down to Lord's Camp and see the huge barges that Essenbaum is building. There's two of them. I mean, the control tower for the barge is probably 20 feet in the air.
Yeah, it's big business on the lake, but the people that I see that come in and get, permits when they're doing projects, it's very difficult to tell because a load of lumber, I mean, they haul all the lumber out to do some of these boathouses. They might make 50 trips for one project. So it's very difficult to figure out where it's going, but it's mostly Spafford residents that they're serving. I mean, like I said, Esselman is using the other end of the lake right now for his barge activity. The sailboat shop, we busted him earlier. He has an agreement to come in. He does a couple of moorings a year or something, and we usually give him, straighten that out.
These were huge. I mean,
He's building them?
he's building them right on Lord's Camp beach.
Does he have permission to do that? I mean, that's probably, Lower Camp is all posted this year because they're not in operation, so as soon as you get down to the bottom of the road, it says posted private property. You can't, unless you are getting
They
access.
even have it on the front of their boat, private Lord's Camp.
Right.
private property.
And actually, they have it all along the shoreline,
He
too.
may have some sort of deal with that
Well,
because
that's
they're
what
not.
I'm just like, okay, so they've got moorings now there that they've never had before, so they're, I guess, trying to make a little money, but when I was out on the lake and I saw these two, it looked like a pontoon thing, but they were each like 20 feet wide and 60 feet long, and there was about 8 feet between them, and there was nothing connected. I went down by car today to see if they were connected.
He may have an agreement to be using that beach. I don't know.
If it's their property, that would be between him and them. And
It's big business on the lake. There's no question
Yeah.
about that more, but you're not going to get a 60-footer backed in down there.
No.
It's mostly small guys, small outfits.
It just is beyond my comprehension. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And where's he going to keep it for the winter? That's the next.
I know the other one, they just put the outriggers down.
Yeah,
Break
raise
it
it
up,
up.
leave it right in the water.
There you go. Yeah, they're huge. Oh my God, they're huge. So from what I see coming is the houses in the lake, like they have in Skaneateles. And I don't know if there's anything we can do about that. Just sort of
what house is in the lake in Scales?
build, as long as you're 25.
Sneaking them out there, and yeah.
I know that there's one specific one that they're kind of battling over.
Yeah,
That's,
it's, some of the docks are building now are huge. We don't control that stuff. That's all DEC is right now. If you're driving piles in the lake, you don't even get a permit. DEC is a little short-staffed, and they're like, have a ball.
Getting back to your point, if we can't identify from the photograph who the people are that are using it, there's no way that I think you could issue a violation. If the photo, again, Jim, this may be something you know more about than I do, but if we had a picture that so-and-so, date stamp and time stamp on it is using the Port Island Index, and they don't have a permit for it, I think at that point you can issue a violation.
if you know who it is.
It's right, if you know what it is. And if the photograph is sent,
Yeah, I don't think anyone's arguing that fact. That's just, my point is, I have no idea who those people are.
I don't either. So I tried to blow it up the license plates and stuff to figure it out.
That's the easy part.
Well, that's the hard part for us.
If I have a witness that says who it is, that's helpful. I think what we should do is, I think we should offer a seasonal permit, and then, because that'll increase the revenue for the town if they're cheating.
Or they'll find another access point to the lake, which at that point, we don't care, and we don't get anything.
I don't know why they don't just use the state road.
They can't.
They can't?
I don't believe they can.
No, it's
Recreational use only.
yeah, I mean, they don't allow you to tie it up with barges. You can actually launch the barge there, but you can't load it.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Trucks down. That's not set up for.
No, that stable launch too, that parking lot fills up.
And there
Or
are-
even during the week, it fills up pretty darn quick.
There are a few that use the Scott boat launch, when they're up that at the lake.
Which they must have changed their regulations because basically you're supposed to be a Scott resident or Thomas Baffin resident to use that. So maybe that's
I
been
don't think they
adjusted.
police it all that well, so.
I know. I mean, it's not very. There isn't a whole heck of a lot of space.
Nor is it very deep.
No. But they're flat bottom for the most part.
I mean, our biggest offender, we basically chased out of here the last few years. For that reason, it was tied it up, and it was, it was a real problem.
Right.
Um,
Well, I think as part of the budget cycle, let's maybe look at maybe what we think a yearly fee would be and what the rationale is, and then we can discuss that. If that's the way we want to go, I believe we can amend our current law, the fee schedule, correct?
Yeah, and then it gives Howard the opportunity, rather than issue a notice of violation, you can send him a letter and say, it's our understanding that you have used the boat launch for more than one project. As a result, here's an invoice for it, a yearly permit. That's just another way of doing it.
Well, we could do it too. We could do one. I mean, again, the enforcement's the hard part, but maybe you do one project, $1,000. Yearly fee, $6,000.
Well, I think one project is $250 right now.
In town.
Huh?
A resident operator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's broken down into three schedules.
A resident project.
It's like a resident person working on a residence, and then the resident working on an outside contractor working on. There's three different things broke out.
All right. Well, we can kick that around at our budget meeting.
I just think I think if you establish a yearly pass charge, then it's easier to send the violator a bill for a yearly pass than it is to actually do an entire enforcement proceeding.
Yep.
Because then you've got to get me involved, and now you're losing money. You're losing money just to enforce a money revenue thing. So if you did that, then you could just get Howard to say, we have good evidence or reasonable evidence to believe that you used this to launch for more than one project. Here's an invoice.
Does the DEC copy you or forward to you any kind of short?
Activities on the lake, all of them.
All of them, right?
All of them is bad.
So really, right there too.
You can prove.
That's a way for us to cross-check
Okay.
permitted projects. Like, I almost wonder if that comes in to us, that we shouldn't blast out to the owner, blah, blah, blah.
Who's your barge?
Who's your barge provider? FYI, this is the fee for the, I don't know. I mean, it's
Yeah.
but
But selling that,
The one that you wouldn't see would be their vocals and things like that that are just, that they're taking and taking.
yeah, Ty, I hear you, but I mean, you're there, and this is why this is a nuisance to you. And I'm not saying that the provider of the service shouldn't be paying fees. They absolutely should.
That's the biggest complaint.
But we only hear from you.
Well, I'm the only one there.
Well, okay then.
But it's a law, and doing what Jim said, it's been going on now 5 years. I've been sending pictures for 5 years, and I can send you the emails if you'd like. But I'm doing what Jim's saying is here's a timestated picture of the barge using the facility. They
Right.
use it 10 times, and they maybe have a permit. The other day,
Or maybe they have 10 permits.
well, the other.
Well, we don't know because we don't know who they are, and that's my point.
The other meeting which started the whole thing was that there was no permit from anybody. And then, as Howard said, two of them got permits. I think.
We had two that actually got them earlier.
So, that's what started it. It's like, okay, here's all this activity. It's a law. I'm sending you the information. The town's losing money. They're not getting anything out. Okay, $2,000 a year you just lost. figure out how to do it. If they're not following the law, then they should be penalized. Or lose the privilege, one of the two.
The hardest part to police that I see is, I mean, obviously, if you're selling boat hoists, not everybody needs 10 boat hoists, but you get some of Phil Rickard's projects that are in there on my desk, he's gonna have 100 trips, all for the same project. Because he's bringing everything from the sheet pylons to the shingles. So, a load of PT lumber on a barge doesn't mean anything to me because that guy might have 10 more loads. You know what I'm saying? Like a permit per project is one thing, but the project might go all summer.
Might go 2 summers.
Yeah.
So you gotta get 2 permits.
Some of this stuff.
Also, we're disproportionately expensive. All we're doing is putting in boat hoist and taking one out.
Correct.
Right.
$250 is a lot of money. That's probably the whole fee that they get for putting a boat hoist in or out. So that's not fair either.
The same thing with the sailboat shop. He takes moorings out to Spafford people and brings them back in the fall. So, I mean, I just think if we're going to regulate, we need to look at all of those parameters because a lot of your barge activity for a summer might be one project.
Well, maybe just close the whole Port Island Landing down to no public access of
I
any
don't know the
kind.
answer. I'm just saying there's a lot of variables when you look at
I mean, that's
barges.
not a great solution either, but
A pipe structure down there where they can park their cars up against it and walk in to swim and,
Right up, you got a pile of snow down there.
what's that?
Right up, you got a pile of snow down there.
The lot of snow at the lake.
Bad enough, we got people with tie ropes across it so we can't turn around and all that good shit.
How many people launch boats?
It varies. I had a triaxle cigarette boat launched at 9:30 at night, twice. So it's really changed, and most of it I'm attributing to the COVID and all that stuff. I mean, there's people swimming there we've never seen. They're coming from all over the place, put in paddleboards and kayaks and swimming and families and kids, and it's like, where do these people come from? A lot of it is Stafford. There are residents a lot we know are not Stafford, but they're just trying to access the lake, and it's very hard to get onto the lake anywhere. So it's becoming an issue of safety. I mean, to your point, it's hard to mix swimmers, kids. I mean, babies. From the safety end of it, you have swimmers, you have fishers, people that fish, anglers now, whatever the correct is. Your boats being put in jet skis and things like that, commercial barges and things like that. So it's becoming very busy down there with all the things that are going on. It's going to come to a head where we're headed. The thing with the busyness is coming. We can see it.
anything else, Lisa? Anything else? Anybody else have anything? Okay.
We need to cancel the special meeting that we had scheduled for end of August. I had it on my calendar.
Was it Canada?
You never told me to publish.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
No, we don't.
It's coming up on my calendar.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, you didn't do new business yet? Or did I miss it?
We did it. You guys, you wanted? Yeah, so actually we reached out to get a couple engineering quotes, and then I have to decide what that cost is versus what it cost me to do it and seal it myself. So I'll let you know. Second time, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jim, can you just hang on for a minute to a little update on a few other things?
Okay.
I'm sending all the checks the next week or so.
When will they be sent out?
I'll probably be sending them out tomorrow, so we wouldn't get them till Saturday or Monday probably.
So yeah, I won't be here on Monday. I'll be back Thursday. So
Usually Friday
You want to sign?
Checks, Chris? If I mail them out to you?
So you just mail them to her house
I'll
and you
mail
sign?
them right to her house, and then you'll be back just before the next pay.
Yeah.
What do I do with it after I sign it?
They're all stamped. You just throw them in your mailbox.
Just stick them in the envelope and find a cap that's really likes to lick things. You just rub the envelopes on their tongue and you're all set.
I can take my mask.
We're all done.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Hold on for a second.
Thanks, Leon.
You flick that switch off though?